one of the other things that we did was that we had to go into what I'll refer to as the corner of shame, and most of us have this for Regina, the place where all of the dead stock resides in her garage. Now she does have bins and bins. Now they're pretty well put together and organized. And when I pulled out the camera to take pictures of her dead stock corner, she was not particularly happy. I don't think any of us are particularly happy for other people to see our messes, but in all truth, all companies have them, I think, especially if you've been operating for any number of years. You're going to have dead stock. Now, I think there are a lot of great uses for dead stock. Certainly, you can use them as promotional stuff, and that's something that Regina hadn't even thought. I kind of explained to her, I'm like, hey, you know, decorate these, throw them in the box of the order, or she has quite a few bags, like large totes. And I said, that would be excellent. You can take those orders that you have, especially the size of orders that she does, decorate the outside of the bag, heat press something on it, and package the order in that bag and send it off. The thing was, she was kind of, not exactly desirous of doing this stuff. And when I said, oh yeah, well the great thing is then you have your logo, your contact information, and it seemed like, oh, then it went off in her head. I'm like, oh wow, then the light bulb hit, because she was thinking that we're just decorating it with someone else's logo. Now, I think you can do the process where you decorate something with someone's logo as a cold calling. I mean, it's not very much cold calling, I would say, but when you walk in to do a presentation, you give them something with their logo on it, and that's great. She didn't want to do that with this stuff because a lot of it discontinued, and she didn't want to have to keep selling it. Now, when you're doing it the way I'm describing it, I'm saying you put your logo, your contact information, and for her, she does heat press, and she does a lot. So I said that's probably the easiest, the quickest, and the cheapest way that she can do that. And she can do a larger piece than when she could with embroidery and justify it for a promotional piece. And that would make a lot more sense. So It Takes a Stitch would take the stage with that side of the bag, and I think that having her contact information, everything on that bag, makes it a really great promo item. Plus, they're valuable, cool bags, and if somebody's walking around town with that on there, you now have a walking billboard. So, you know, you get a 2-for-1 on that, and that's pretty great. Though, one thing we also had to talk about today is the It Takes a Stitch logo. Now, this is another thing that wasn't fun to talk about necessarily, but Regina asked me, she's like, well, does the logo need to be changed? And truthfully, yes it does. And we discussed that briefly. The font that she's using for her logo, while not necessarily unattractive and not necessarily anything wrong with the font, it's a font that comes stock on just about every Windows computer that's ever been made. It's like Lucida handwriting, I believe, or calligraphy. I'd have to go look at it one more time to make sure I'm saying that right. But it is a stock font, and it's a font everyone has. And when she's going into this new venture of trying to be a little higher end, a little more custom, and she's trying to specifically sell custom monogramming, having a font that's very stock that everybody has seen, and honestly, on her website, having images that are a little low resolution and dated of her logo, it just doesn't fit with what she's trying to sell. And when we were talking about selling your own style, selling the way you want to do the work, that's it's not great if culturally you don't look like the person who you are and who you're selling yourself as in your skill set and in your proclivities. And I think that really, it's true. She had to work on the logo, and we talked about some of the other things she's got as far as assets. Her forms and things are all fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but it really, it hit home when I thought about it, that someone who's going to look for a custom monogram, who's going to look for a custom design, they're not going to want to see a stock font, and especially not in the logo. Luckily, through some of the work that Regina has done, going to classes and doing creative study locally, she actually has some contacts with graphic designers that may or well be able to help her out with that, and who she may want to hire to do that work. And I encouraged her to go ahead and look into that. I mean, truthfully, Regina has done some incredible graphic design work herself. I got to see some of the projects she's done from the classes she's taken, and there's one in particular that I hope we get some pictures for you of these envelopes that she did as type specimens. But they were, it's like a design envelope that has interesting information on it, uses a particular font, and has a color scheme and some shapes and geometry, things like that are on it, and a set of all these envelopes showing specimens of different types of type for her typography class. And frankly, they're fantastic. I look at these that were engaging her creatively, and she did a great job. I look at her forms and things she might have done before, and they just don't look as good. In fact, they don't look like they're from the same person. So I talked to her about her passion projects, and I said, you really need to think of your business as the ultimate passion project. If she poured herself into designing her forms, designing her logos, designing her website, working on her promotional materials, in the same way she did with those envelopes, she will have no problems. Just like what I started this video out saying, she has the bones of everything she wants to do. She's really well set up to do these various projects and to expand into the area she wants to. All she needs is a little nudge, and she needs to gel and have these things come together in one unified whole. And I think with a little push from the outside and a little accountability, which is something we've talked about before with both how she learned digitizing by a group of people who came together and regularly digitized on one theme, and of course were expected socially by each other to hit this theme at one period of time and come in on a deadline. Accountability is a big thing for her, so the social sharing will help because people are expecting to see more from her now that she's sharing. Also, I think that once she starts thinking of her own work, her own what may otherwise seem like some boring organizational work as another creative opportunity, there's nothing she can't do. So I think I'm going to go ahead and cut the video there. We've talked about a lot, but there's so much more that we did get to. I can't share you everything we've done in all these hours, since we're doing about 8 hours a day of just solid consulting and work. But I can't wait for you people to see not only what she's doing, but what she took away from these meetings. There's a lot that we can share. There's a lot that she can share. And what I hope it does is inspire you folks out there to look at your work as a passion project and to think about the things you can do to sell and show the work you want to do and to ship more consistently. Well, with that, I'm going to go head off, get some more writing done for the tune-up, and get some sleep. So, from the hotel room office one more time, this is Erich Campbell, signing off.